The story begins with a simple invitation, yet one that carries surprising weight. Before we step into the deeper layers of Jewish wisdom and the subtle symbolism behind placing a coin beneath a doormat, I want you to write a phrase in the comments. I welcome new opportunities. This small act is not mere participation, it is a declaration. In Jewish tradition, spoken or written intention shapes inner alignment. When you articulate a desire, you clear a path for it. When you speak openness, you step toward it. And when your words are witnessed by a community, the intention becomes even stronger. So write the phrase, not for the algorithm, but for yourself, as the first symbolic gesture in this journey. Now imagine the entrance of a home, a threshold between what you know and what you hope for, between where you are and where you wish to be.
The doormat sits there quietly, patient, familiar, unnoticed by most. Yet in old Jewish teachings, thresholds often carry spiritual significance. They mark transitions, passages, beginnings. And beginnings, in Jewish thought, are sacred moments that hold an unusual potency. They suggest that change is possible. It is here, under this humble doormat, that an ancient ritual finds its home, placing a small coin beneath it as a sign of receptivity to opportunity. The coin does not summon luck like a magical charm. Instead, it signals readiness, a silent, steady whisper to the universe, saying, I am prepared to recognize and embrace what comes. But why a coin? Why here? And how could such a subtle gesture hold any weight in a world full of noise and uncertainty?
The answer, as Jewish wisdom reveals, has nothing to do with superstition and everything to do with intention, awareness, and the psychology of openness. This practice, quiet as it may be, reflects a beautiful paradox. Something so small can carry a meaning so vast. Placing a coin beneath the doormat is a symbolic act of humility, a reminder that even the smallest seed can grow into something extraordinary if planted with purpose. It is also a reminder that opportunity often enters our lives through small doors, disguised in ordinary clothing, unnoticed by the hurried mind. Yet the true power of the ritual does not lie in the coin, nor in the doormat, nor even in the threshold itself. It lies in what the act awakens inside the person who performs it. A shift, a reorientation, a gentle stirring of the mind toward vigilance and receptivity.
Once the coin is placed, you begin to notice things differently. The conversations that open a new path, the ideas that spark at unexpected moments, the connections that seem to appear out of nowhere. Jewish wisdom teaches that awareness itself attracts opportunity. And so this chapter closes with a quiet question echoing beneath the surface. If such a small act can awaken a sense of readiness within you, what deeper truths might lie hidden in the origins of this ritual? Truths asked down through generations. Okay, to understand why a single coin beneath a doormat came to symbolize openness to opportunity, we must travel back into the quiet corridors of Jewish tradition, where meaning is woven into even the smallest gestures. Jewish culture has long treated everyday objects as vessels of intention.
Bread on the table as a reminder of gratitude, a mezuzah on the doorway as a symbol of divine protection, a candle lit at dusk to welcome peace into the home. In that same spirit, the modest coin beneath the doormat emerged not as superstition, but as a mindful ritual rooted in humility, generosity, and spiritual awareness. In old communities, coins were more than currency. They represented sustenance, parnasa, the ability to care for one's family, to contribute to the community, to offer charity. Placing a coin at the entrance of a home was not a request for wealth, but a declaration of readiness to use whatever came for good purposes. It was a physical reminder that blessings, like visitors, must be welcomed at the door. Some elders taught that opportunity often arrives disguised, quiet as footsteps on a porch.
A guest who knocks may bring news, advice, partnership, or a connection that shifts an entire life. Thus, keeping a coin beneath the threshold symbolized hospitality not just toward people, but toward possibilities. It said, "My home is a place where blessings may enter." Others interpreted the practice through the lens of humility, A coin left beneath the doormat is hidden, unseen, unclaimed, a small sacrifice of comfort or possession. In Jewish wisdom, small, hidden deeds carry enormous spiritual weight. The act mirrors the teaching that true generosity is done without fanfare, and that quiet acts often lead to the greatest openings. As generations passed, the ritual took on an additional layer of meaning: awareness. Life is full of thresholds, not only physical doors, but transitions, shifts, and crossroads.
Jewish stories often depict such moments as opportunities for growth, yet only the spiritually awake can perceive them. The coin beneath the doormat became a symbolic nudge, reminding the family to stay alert, open-eyed, and prepared for moments that could change everything. What makes this tradition so compelling is that it never promised miracles, it promised mindfulness. It taught that opportunity is not random luck, but a meeting between preparedness and divine orchestration, a theme deeply embedded in Jewish thought. And in this light, the humble coin becomes a beacon of personal responsibility, encouraging one to cultivate both internal readiness and external awareness. As these layers of meaning overlap, humility, hospitality, mindfulness, and symbolic generosity, the ritual reveals its depth.
It is a whisper from the past, urging each generation to remain conscious of the doors opening around them. But this tradition raises a larger question, one that reaches beyond cultural practice and into spiritual philosophy. How does Judaism truly define opportunity, and why is it seen as something we can prepare ourselves to receive? In Jewish wisdom, opportunity is not a stroke of luck, nor a random visitor who wanders into one's life without meaning. Instead, it is understood as a meeting point, the precise intersection where human effort encounters divine orchestration. This idea is rooted in the concept of Ashkaga Pradit, or personal providence, the belief that every individual has a unique path and that subtle guidance shapes the moments placed before them. But guidance alone is not enough. One must be prepared to notice it. Seen through this lens, opportunity becomes a spiritual phenomenon, not just a practical one. It is a flow of possibility continuously moving around us, waiting for those attuned enough to recognize its quiet knock. Jewish teachings often emphasize that most people miss life's greatest openings not because those openings never arrive, but because the mind is distracted, fearful, or closed. The coin beneath the doormat, humble as it seems, serves as a symbolic reminder to remain awake. In this worldview, opportunity is also deeply linked to responsibility. Receiving something new, a job, a relationship, a challenge, a calling, means stepping into a new stage of growth. Opportunity is not merely fortune, it is invitation. It asks for commitment, courage, and willingness to step beyond the familiar.
Jewish tradition encourages individuals to prepare their hearts for such invitations, to cultivate character traits like humility, gratitude, and discipline, which make a person capable of rising to whatever life brings. This understanding reframes the conversation. Opportunity is not something one passively hopes for, it is something one actively prepares to meet. That preparation is internal, requiring clarity of values, emotional resilience, and a readiness to act when the moment appears. And because opportunity often arrives disguised in small conversations, unexpected encounters, or challenges that force growth, the spiritually attuned person trains the mind to see beyond the surface. Within this framework, the coin ritual becomes clearer. It is a physical representation of the internal posture one must hold, grounded, attentive, and humble.
The coin waits quietly under the doormat, unseen by daily routine, yet ever present as a reminder that life could change at any moment, in ways both subtle and profound. It whispers that the threshold of a home is not just a boundary, but a possibility, a place where endings transform into beginnings. And Jewish stories reinforce this again and again. Chance meetings becoming lifelong partnerships, small acts of kindness rippling into vast blessings, apparent setbacks revealing hidden doorways. The message is constant. Opportunity is always near, but only those prepared to recognize it can receive its benefits. As we move deeper into the symbolism, another question begins to take shape. If the doorway holds such spiritual significance, what makes the entrance of a home, the literal threshold, such a powerful place for rituals and blessings? Okay, a doorway is more than an architectural feature in Jewish thought. It is a symbolic bridge. It marks the transition from the inner world to the outer one, from the safe haven of the home to the unpredictability of life beyond it. Thresholds are treated with reverence because they represent beginnings, and beginnings are moments charged with spiritual energy. Every entry and exit becomes an invitation to mindfulness. Who are you as you cross this boundary? What intentions do you bring with you? This symbolism is woven deeply into Jewish practice. The mezuzah, placed on the right side of the doorway, is not merely a ritual object, but a reminder of alignment and purpose. Each time a person touches it, they recall the values they carry into the world. The act transforms the doorway into a place of consciousness, a pause between realms.
In that same spirit, the doormat, humble, unassuming, often overlooked, becomes part of the symbolic frame surrounding the threshold. Placing a coin beneath this doormat introduces yet another layer of meaning. The doormat is where every visitor first stands, where dust from the outside world is shaken off. It is a border that welcomes and filters at the same time. By placing a coin beneath it, a person anchors the intention of opportunity directly at the crossing point between what is and what may come. It becomes a small beacon hidden underfoot, a quiet signal that the household is receptive to possibility. Thresholds also embody vulnerability. To open a door is to take a risk, allowing something new to enter or stepping into unknown terrain. Jewish wisdom teaches that courage does not begin in the battlefield of big decisions. It begins in these small, daily transitions.
Thus, the doorway becomes a metaphor for readiness. It reminds one that opportunities rarely appear in the depths of comfort. They come at the edges, the borders, the liminal spaces where change takes root. And in this symbolic geography, the entrance becomes a stage where the inner life meets the unfolding world. The coin beneath the doormat is not meant to be seen by guests or even by the family. Its power lies in its secrecy. Hidden symbols often carry the strongest meanings because they shape the subconscious quietly, continually, and without resistance. Every time a person crosses the threshold, leaving or returning, the coin whispers its message: stay open, stay aware, stay prepared. This is why the doormat, mundane as it appears, becomes the perfect resting place for such a ritual.
It is the first and last point of contact between the home and the world, between routine and possibility. And that raises another question: why a coin? What unique meaning does money hold within Jewish tradition that allows such a small object to carry such weight? To understand why a coin plays such a central role in this ritual, we must look at how Jewish wisdom views money, not as a symbol of greed or materialism, but as a tool. In Jewish tradition, even the smallest coin represents potential, the potential to give, to support, to build, to uplift. Money is not inherently virtuous or corrupt. Its moral value depends entirely on intention and use. And because of this, a coin becomes a profound symbol in rituals connected to opportunity. In Jewish teachings, wealth is often framed through the lens of responsibility.
A coin is not just something you own. It is something entrusted to you. It can become charity, kindness, or sustenance for someone in need. Even the smallest copper piece carries the weight of possibility. This is why the act of placing a coin beneath a doormat resonates so deeply. It embodies the belief that opportunities do not come merely to enrich you, but to expand your ability to contribute. The coin also represents humility. It is modest, simple, unpretentious. Unlike gold or jewels, it does not dazzle. Its value comes from use, not appearance. Jewish tradition frequently emphasizes the power of the small and the ordinary, a single seed that becomes a tree, a single word that transforms a life, a single gesture that changes a destiny. In that spirit, the coin acts as a reminder that even small beginnings can open big doors.
There is another layer, the tactile nature of a coin. It is real, solid, physical. Unlike hopes or wishes, it can be held. Jewish teachings often root spiritual ideas in physical actions because the physical world anchors intention. Lighting a candle creates a visible flame. Tying a string symbolizes remembrance. Placing a coin grounds the abstract idea of opportunity into something one can literally touch. The ritual says, "Let my intention take form." Money also symbolizes movement. A coin passes from hand to hand, from place to place. It circulates, connecting strangers, families, communities. Because of that, it naturally represents flow, something opportunity also requires. Nothing stagnant brings growth. A life open to opportunity is a life in motion, and a coin, always moving, mirrors this essential truth. Placed beneath the doormat, the coin becomes a guardian of transition. It sits exactly where the inner and outer worlds meet, holding the quiet expectation that something good may cross this threshold. It is a tiny sentinel of hope, a reminder that the door is not merely a barrier, but an opening. Yet the ritual contains a beautiful paradox. Although the coin is physical, its true power lies in the psychological shift it creates. Which leads us to the next question. How does such a simple, symbolic act prepare the mind to actually recognize and embrace opportunities when they appear? Okay, the mind is the true architect of opportunity. Long before external doors open, internal ones must unlock. This is where the psychology beneath the coin ritual becomes remarkably powerful. Even though the act is small and quiet, it engages one of the most influential mechanisms in human behavior, priming.
Priming occurs when a symbol, word, or action subtly prepares the brain to notice certain patterns. By placing a coin beneath the doormat, a person's not summoning luck, they are training their mind to recognize possibility. This matters because the human mind naturally filters information. Every day, countless chances pass unnoticed simply because the brain prioritizes the familiar and the safe. Opportunity, however, often hides in the unfamiliar, the subtle, the unexpected. Rituals like this gently interrupt unconscious patterns and encourage awareness. The coin becomes a private cue that whispers, "Stay alert, something good may appear today." Psychologists often speak about the reticular activating system, the brain's internal spotlight that determines what we pay attention to. When you set an intention, this system begins to highlight anything that aligns with that intention.
A person who decides to look for opportunity suddenly notices conversations, ideas, connections, and possibilities that were previously invisible. The coin ritual acts as a physical anchor for this mental shift, a reminder waiting at the threshold, ensuring that every exit into the world begins with a primed mindset. The ritual also reduces fear. Many opportunities are missed because people hesitate, doubt, or underestimate themselves. By performing a deliberate, symbolic action, one calms the mind's resistance. Rituals reduce uncertainty by providing structure. They signal to the subconscious that you are stepping into a purposeful state. This lowers anxiety, strengthens confidence, and creates mental readiness to act when the moment arrives. Moreover, symbols bypass the rational mind and speak directly to emotion, the true driver of decision-making. A coin beneath a doormat might seem trivial from a logical perspective, but emotionally, it becomes a seed. Over time, the simple knowledge that it is there creates continuity, a daily reminder that one is committed to transformation. This continuity builds momentum, and momentum creates change. There is also power in secrecy. Because no one else sees the coin, the ritual becomes deeply personal. Secret symbols influence the psyche more strongly than public ones because they belong entirely to the inner world. They cultivate introspection, intention, and a quiet form of courage. Gradually, the coin shifts from being an object to being a mindset. The person who placed it begins to walk differently, slower, more observant, more receptive. They begin to treat conversations as potential openings, setbacks as disguised redirections,
and ordinary days as landscapes where something meaningful could unfold. And as perception changes, the world responds. Yet symbols alone are not enough. For a ritual to matter, it must harmonize with daily life. This raises a natural question. How do people use this ritual today, in modern homes, modern routines, and modern challenges? In the modern world, where routines are fast and attention is fragmented, the coin ritual finds new life as a quiet anchor, a way to reconnect with intention amid the noise. Today, people use this symbolic gesture not as an ancient superstition, but as a personal reminder woven into their daily space. The coin beneath the doormat becomes an act of reclaiming awareness in a time when it is easy to drift through life on autopilot.
Some individuals adopt the ritual when moving into a new home. They slide a small coin beneath the mat on the very first day, marking the threshold as a place of beginnings. It becomes a subtle way of saying, "May this home welcome growth, purpose, and good encounters." Others use it when starting a new job or project, placing the coin as a sign of openness to guidance and opportunity in the unfamiliar. The ritual becomes a symbolic handshake with the future, acknowledging that every step into the world may carry something transformative. For people going through difficult transitions, a breakup, a career shift, a loss, the ritual offers a sense of grounding. The coin acts as a silent promise that life still holds possibilities ahead, even if they are not yet visible.
It becomes a seed beneath the mat, sleeping but alive, echoing the idea that healing and new paths often begin quietly, without fanfare. Parents sometimes teach this practice to their children as a way to cultivate gratitude and mindfulness. The coin becomes a lesson that opportunities do not always arrive with noise and certainty, but often in whispers. A child learning to recognize possibility through small symbols may grow into an adult who approaches life with alertness rather than fear. There are also those who use the ritual more intentionally, combining it with journaling or reflection. They write down what kind of opportunities they wish to welcome: creativity, partnerships, courage, clarity, and then place the coin as a physical symbol of that commitment. Over time, the ritual becomes a personal ceremony that shapes mindset, behavior, and emotional readiness.
In some households, the coin remains in place for years, becoming part of the home itself, a quiet companion to the lives unfolding above it. In others, the coin is replaced periodically, marking cycles of intention. Each replacement becomes a moment of reflection. What am I opening myself to now? Despite its simplicity, the ritual resonates in modern life for one powerful reason. It gives shape to hope. In a world of uncertainty, the coin under the doormat becomes a controlled act of openness, one that restores a sense of agency and meaning. Yet the ritual is not merely practical. It carries deep echoes of Jewish storytelling, where small actions often trigger great transformations. And so we arrive at the heart of the tradition, the timeless tales that portray opportunity as something mysterious, humbling, and profoundly human.
Jewish folklore is filled with stories where opportunity arrives quietly, wrapped in disguise, testing the humility and perception of those it visits. These tales, often told in candlelit rooms or around tables after long meals, remind listeners that blessings rarely announce themselves with trumpets. Instead, they slip into life the way dawn slips into darkness, softly, almost unnoticed, until everything has changed. The ritual of placing a coin under the doormat draws its emotional power from these narratives, each one echoing the same message: be ready, for you never know which moment might open a door. One beloved tale speaks of a poor shopkeeper who swept the threshold of his store every morning before sunrise, whispering a simple blessing of gratitude. One day, a stranger passed by and noticed a tiny coin glinting beneath the dust. Curious, he asked the shopkeeper why he kept such a small coin by the door. The shopkeeper replied, "So that opportunity may never walk past my home without finding a reason to stop."
The stranger smiled and entered. Days later, he returned, not as a wanderer, but as a wealthy merchant seeking a partner for a new venture. The shopkeeper's life changed, not because of the coin itself, but because his daily mindfulness prepared him to welcome the unexpected. Another story tells of a young woman who placed a small copper piece beneath her family's doormat after her father lost his job. She did it secretly, believing that blessings often begin in silence. Weeks later, a neighbor knocked on their door, asking for help with a task her father happened to be skilled at. That small chance encounter grew into steady work. When her father learned of the coin years later, he said, "The opportunity was always there. What you placed under the doormat was not a coin, but hope." The story reminds us that rituals awaken something internal long before the external world changes. Many tales highlight a theme of humility. In one, a wealthy man hides a coin beneath his doormat to ensure he never forgets how easily abundance can slip away. Because of this daily reminder, he lives generously, treating every visitor as a potential blessing. Over time, those visitors bring knowledge, support, and alliances that expand his success far beyond what wealth alone could have achieved. In his old age, he says, "The coin brought nothing to me. It taught me to bring something to others, and that opened every door." These stories resonate not because of the coin itself, but because of what it symbolizes: readiness, humility, awareness. Opportunity favors those who are prepared to recognize it. Folklore simply gives shape to this truth through characters who learn, sometimes painfully, that doors open when hearts do. Yet these tales point to a deeper layer still, a truth repeated across centuries of Jewish teaching, that opportunity is not attracted by symbols alone, but by the character of the person who places them. And so we move toward the core of the lesson: what truly draws opportunity into a life. What truly attracts opportunity is not the coin, the doormat, or the ritual itself. It is the person who performs it. Jewish wisdom teaches that symbolic acts are powerful only when they reflect an inner posture, a way of walking through the world with integrity, clarity, and purpose. The coin beneath the threshold is a reminder, but the qualities that draw real openings into one's life come from character. Opportunity gravitates toward those who cultivate the traits that allow them to meet it with readiness and courage. At the center of these traits stands gratitude. In Jewish ethics, gratitude is not a reaction to blessings, it is preparation for them. A grateful person sees value where others see inconvenience. They notice beginnings where others see endings. Gratitude sharpens perception, making even small changes feel like potential pathways. And because opportunity often emerges from unexpected moments, this sharpened perception becomes essential. Next is humility, a foundation repeated across countless teachings. Humility does not mean shrinking or doubting oneself. Instead, it is the awareness that one does not control the entire picture. Humility keeps a person open to learning, receptive to advice, and willing to embrace unfamiliar directions. The arrogant overlook doors because they believe they already know the path. The humble discover doors because they remain willing to be surprised. Then comes discipline, the steady force that transforms intention into action. Opportunity favors those who are consistent, dependable, and prepared. A chance encounter becomes meaningful only when one has built the skills, focus, and resilience needed to act on it. In Jewish tradition, discipline is often linked to the concept of avodah, meaningful effort. Even spiritual growth requires steady work, and so does the cultivation of opportunity. Another essential quality is kindness. Jewish teachings repeatedly assert that acts of goodness create unseen ripples that return in unexpected ways. A simple gesture may forge connections, build trust, or inspire someone to extend a hand at precisely the right moment. Opportunity is often relational. Doors open through people, and kindness strengthens the bridges that make those openings possible. Yet perhaps the most powerful trait is courage, the willingness to step through the door once it appears. Many people recognize opportunity, but freeze at the threshold, held back by fear of failure, change, or uncertainty. Jewish wisdom teaches that faith and courage are intertwined. To trust that life is larger than fear is to walk forward even when the path is not fully clear. Courage transforms potential into reality. When these qualities converge, gratitude, humility, discipline, kindness, and courage, opportunity no longer feels like luck. It becomes the natural result of a life aligned with purpose.
The coin beneath the doormat simply becomes the physical echo of this alignment, a symbol of readiness anchored at the place where the inner world meets the outer one. And so we approach the final reflection, where all these threads, the ritual, the symbolism, the psychology, and the moral teaching, weave together into one cohesive truth. What remains is to understand how these ideas settle into everyday life, and what they ultimately ask of us as we step toward our own thresholds. As we reach the closing chapter of this journey, the threads of tradition, psychology, symbolism, and storytelling merge into a single, steady truth. Opportunity is not something we wait for, it is something we prepare ourselves to receive. The coin beneath the doormat becomes the final symbol in this tapestry, a quiet reminder that life responds to intention. It waits at the threshold like a guardian of beginnings, whispering each time we cross it that openness is a choice renewed daily. Jewish wisdom teaches that peace and clarity flourish in homes where intention is honored. Thus, the narrative ends where it began, at the doorway, the liminal place between what has happened and what is yet to unfold. The simple coin resting beneath the mat carries every lesson we explored. It is the humility of small gestures. It is the courage to believe that subtle shifts matter. It is the discipline of honoring symbols that shape mindset and behavior. And it is the gratitude that allows one to see even the briefest hint of possibility as a gift. Imagine for a moment standing at your own doorway. Behind you lies all that has formed you: choices, failures, triumphs, lessons. Ahead stretches the unknown landscape of what might be. The coin beneath the mat, hidden yet present, echoes a quiet reassurance. You are capable of welcoming what comes. You are allowed to hope. You are allowed to open the door without fear. This ritual reflects a principle deeply embedded in Jewish thought, that peace begins at home, purpose begins at home, and opportunity often begins at home. The act of placing a coin beneath the doormat symbolizes anchoring your intentions not in distant dreams, but in the place where you live, breathe, and begin each day. It grounds the abstract in the familiar. It teaches that transformation does not require grand gestures, only consistent awareness and willingness to act when the moment arrives. As the narrative settles into stillness, a final moral emerges with clarity. Opportunity is drawn to those who live with open eyes and open hearts.
The ritual prepares the mind, but the character prepares the path. The doorway becomes a symbol, but your choices become the reality that follows. In a world filled with uncertainty, the coin offers a grounding truth. You cannot control everything, but you can shape the way you step into the world, and that shape has power. So let this final image linger. A quiet home, a simple door, a coin hidden beneath a mat, and someone standing on the threshold with intention alive in their chest. This is where opportunity begins, not outside, but inside the one willing to welcome it. Like the teaching said from the very beginning, small symbols can inspire great transformations. And now, as our journey comes to a close, the final invitation is simple. Like the video, subscribe, and comment your city or state.
Every shared word becomes another doorway, and every doorway holds a possibility yet unseen.